The story of Muskingum County, home to some of the first pioneer settlements in Ohio, began with, of all things, a road.
Well, it started out in 1797 when Ebenezer Zane hacked his way through the forest and made the Zane Trace. It's shaped like a sickle from Wheeling to Zanesville to Lancaster, down to Chillicothe, and then down to Maysville, Kentucky. The reason it was built was primarily for mail. The Ohio River was used most of the time, but the Ohio River froze in the winter, and in the spring the floods came. So it was an unreliable source of transportation.
Zanesville became the seat of this brand new county in the wilderness. 3 buildings, all in the same location, have served as the county courthouse. And from 1810 to 1812, Zanesville's second courthouse held the distinction of being Ohio's capital.
The General Assembly didn't think Chillicothe was a good location for the state capitol. They said, if you can come up with the money, we'll move the capital here.
Zanesville was not the only city vying to be the state capital. The neighboring town of Putnam also built a magnificent structure to house the Ohio legislature.
The Stone Academy, located here in Putnam, they were competing against Zanesville. Both communities wanted the capital, thinking, well, perhaps if the capital's here, it won't leave, but no matter what, it was going to leave, because just prior to the move to Zanesville, the state General Assembly had passed a law that the capital had to be located within 50 miles of the center of the state, and hence Columbus, when it got ready in 1816, has been state capital ever since.
Although Putnam's Stone Academy did not win the bid to house the state capitol, it became the center of the anti-slavery movement in Ohio.
You're sitting in the house where the Ohio Anti-Slavery Society was founded back in April of 1835. You have to use your imagination here, because this stone house, as you see at the model in back of me, I've seen 115 people fit into this for a 3-day period, listening to abolitionist speeches and adopting anti-slavery, how they're going to fight this and combat this, what are they going to do.
Inevitably, the question of slavery reached the Muskingum County Courthouse.
Muskingum County had a fugitive slave case in 1858 where a black gentleman was tricked to come back to Zanesville from Belmont County. When he got back here, he was taken in front of the judge, and the judge said, "You're released." He was satisfied he wasn't a runaway. As soon as he was released, he was arrested by the United States Marshal and then brought back to court the next day, and the same judge found that he was a runaway and they could transport him back to slavery in Virginia.
Eventually, these schisms over slavery would boil over into a bloody civil war. When the war was over, the nation began to rebuild and expand, and so too did the Muskingum County Courthouse.
This courthouse was open for business, if you would, May 1st of 1877. There was a large dedication that day of it. And one of the big complaints was there was not enough local employers being used.
To appease these complaints, 2 men from the community decided to start their own business, and they won the bid to tile the courthouse floor.
The tile floor is pretty neat. They used a local company for that. Once they started it, to recruit somebody from England to come in and do the actual work. We were just a fledgling country at the time. People were making this stuff, but like these 2 gentlemen that started the local company, they weren't proficient at it yet. Where in England, they had been doing it for years, they were quite proficient at it.
In addition to its tile floors, the Muskingum County Courthouse features work by one of Ohio's most prolific artists.
Alan Cottrell, he's a sculptor, built a statue of Thomas Edison that replaced a figure in Washington, D.C.
Alan Cottrell is a contemporary artist local to Zanesville with national renown. He has created sculptures all over the state depicting historical figures, but his war memorial featured at the Muskingum County Courthouse is far more somber and poignant. In modern times, the courthouse steps have become a place to acknowledge solemn departures and happy unions.
Men who were drafted for World War I from Muskingum County, they would take their picture on the courthouse steps.
We've had weddings out there. We have at least 2 or 3 this summer. People got married out there on the steps, and so I always go out and watch, and they're like, can you take our picture? I'm like, oh, sure. We also have our LED lights that surround the courthouse and are on the outside, and they will play music, and it depends on the holiday. In the summer, we'll do the 4th of July, red, white, and blue. And if there's not an event or a holiday, we normally just have them on clear white, because it is spectacular to come down Interstate 70 and see the courthouse.
From the days of Zane's Trace and the first pioneers through the Civil War and World Wars to today, justice has made its home here in Zanesville. The Muskingum County Courthouse has served its community for more than a century, and the community is in no hurry to alter it.
We have a clock that is original. We've had difficulty keeping it on time, but it's such heritage that we don't want to get rid of it. So we acknowledge that sometimes it doesn't say the right time, but that's okay because it's our clock and we like it.
There's a lot of people that have gone through the doors seeking justice. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they feel they don't. It's been a part of Muskingum County for going on 150 years. It's served the county well.
We have enough new buildings. It gives its fits to the maintenance sometimes, like the heating and the cooling, but we've adapted well. I think there's very little here anybody would change in Muskingum County at the courthouse.